Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wednesday Call Live! Live from Alliance Headquarters in Burlington, North Carolina! Hosted by Andy Albright! This week's topic, March Madness and the recipe for service! Brought to you by AMP Studios in front of a live studio audience! And now, let's hear it for your host, our President and CEO, Andy Albright!
Woohoo! All right, y'all grab a seat. Y'all see what is happening with the Alliance? Let me explain something to you. It's what you call momentum. John Maxwell, one time, he was speaking to us and he said, momentum covers up a ton of defects and a ton of errors and mistakes and bad judgment. I said, we need to get us some of that momentum. We need some cover-up. I ain't kidding you. The numbers are going through the roof. The recruiting, the number of people that are getting through class like that and getting contracted, and then these people are turning around and selling. And not like, I remember one year, they'd be selling for a whole week, they'd be gone. They'd be taken. But this right now, they're selling first week, and they're selling more the second week. And then they're selling more. It's like, what, did they like this money? I'm telling you what, it's just so congratulations. It is. I am here to verify. If you were thinking it was just you, no, it's over there too. We got fires everywhere. It's blowing up. So congratulations. So much going on. We have family reunion tickets is going to sell out. Don't forget, if your person is contracted, they need to be signed up for family reunion quickly because they're going to get bonus points when they show up at family reunion. And then if they don't sign up and then they show up and they say, well, they said I just had to come. I got to miss the part where you need to sign up. You don't get bonus points. I'm sorry, your upline's questionable person. They're a good person, but they're sometimes forgetful, so you should stop not talking to them as much, start finding somebody higher. Does that make sense? In other words, get the word out, and you, as hiring people, want to be responsible. Let them know you need to sign up for family reunion. Time's coming. You get bonus points. It's incredible. The show, the education, the networking opportunities, the value is out of control. The ability to network with carriers, it's all there. So in the immediate term, we have Instant Thunder next week. That's right. We have one in March and one in April. It is. Listen, if you're interested, the one coming up next week is not going to be one of those 300 or 400 people. It looks like it's going to be around 100, 115, 120 people. So, and it's all the key leaders that are invited are already signed up, and the agency managers. But if you're interested in coming and networking with the right people, carriers are going to be here. It's going to be a great one. I think it's going to be a nice, intimate, where you can get really a good feel for everybody in the headquarters. Jeff Bright's going to be here. The Goad's going to be here. Doc Rock is going to be here. So great opportunity if you hadn't signed up, but you need to move quick on that because we're going to shut it down because we've got to plan for catering and all that good stuff. And then the April one, 18th, 19th, and 20th, that one's filling up too. So just if you're not planning on making a March, you want to get April. And then the family reunion is just out of control. I'm headed, I got a big trip, the 26th through the 29th of March to San Antonio. Can't wait to see you guys. I understand that hot spot's blowing up. Seattle, Washington next. Then all the way back across country to D.C. the next day, and Atlanta on the 29th. So kind of four corners going around the United States in the Alliance Air. It's going to be fun. And then the following week, April 2nd through the 6th, is kind of a really crazy week for me. I'm starting out, taking off, getting out to Rancho early in the morning or early afternoon, straight out to Rancho Cucamonga, California. From there, we're going to Vegas, Phoenix, Denver, Colorado, and wrap up in Kansas on Friday. So 5 cities, all-day seminars, and I've got a great group that's on the plane with me that's coming around and training, so that's going to be incredible. By the way, congratulations on the hot spots. I'm getting so much feedback that they're all getting better, more healthy. more fun. People are wanting to go back. They're wanting to hang out. It's like their party every week. It's like their church every week. It's like their team. It's like the family meeting once a week, just to kind of report in, touch base, touch each other, high five, and talk about what's going on, and maybe think about what's getting better, what we can do better next week. Little tips and tricks. Like here's one that the word's getting out on, and somehow we missed this when National Western first came out. Is if a person has been declined for any reason in the past 3 years, do not submit them to National Western. They're just going to decline them. So even if it was a fully underwritten, whatever the reason, if they've been declined. Now we're asking them to change this. We're saying because they got declined with a company that was too tight and they fits well within your requirements. But right now they're saying no. So we're going out to Austin and talk to the CEO and CMO and see if we can get that changed. But that's just. We don't know if we'll be able to change it. I'm going to work on them. I'm going to try to twist them and turn them and see if I can get them on there. But just heads up, but there's all this little stuff. You're like, oh, I didn't know. Now, if they've never been declined, I understand they're really lenient with diabetic people. It's just they've never been declined before. So if you find one that's really, so that's what I'm told. That's very good for that. It was something else. So Great Western is the one that we already give points for trips. AIG is really like 98% close to saying not only will we give you the money to pay for the trip points, but we'll do it all the way back to January. We just need to do a little bit more with them, so shift a little bit. Work on it. Hey, now these are only guaranteed issue. Don't, if you can go mortgage protection, go mortgage protection. Strong foundation if you have a choice. But just a heads up that is looking really, really, really strong. I was texting and emailing back and forth with Jamie Leon with AIG and Jim Henson, and Jim said he was going to work on a little bit more today, but we need to work on a little bit more on the production to get it through. And there's a contest going on, I don't know if anybody heard, called March Madness. We're giving away $100,000, and 10 people are going to win $10,000. And it looks like there's a chance that more than 10 could win, but I don't know how that could happen. There's some really close people at number 11. I'm just going to tell you, there's about 33 people that are right there at number 11, right at number 10. Just a little dollar or two more, and you'll be at number 10. And this is the last month of extra percentage bonus for the Paris trip with final expense products. So let you just kind of a reminder there. So much, have y'all noticed it's just crazy around here? Just stuff's going on. But now I hear in a lot of industries and other companies, it's not like that. They're not giving away all kinds of incentives and bonuses and commissions and iPads and trips. The Paris trip is still on go. How many people are on track, like in the audience, on track to win the Paris? On track. How many of you know you could win it if you tried? All right. Numbers be the numbers. Tons of bonus points going out. SEAL team still going wide open. And, okay, good stuff going on. All right, what do y'all want to hear first? March Madness? Yeah. I know you did. Oh, I might save that to the end, or at least towards the end. I'm not trying to keep your attention on me and Jeff and what we're talking about. Or maybe if I gave you the points, then you would just, all right, I got my points, now I'll pay attention. All right, Jeff Bright has been working really hard on our next book that's coming out called The Values of the Alliance. So Jeff, grab you one of those mics, and keep in mind, this is kind of what we started been working on, the house of the Alliance, and there's still actually some structural changes that we're going to make to this house. And matter of fact, I'm going to draw them out, some things we're going to change. But nothing as far as the substance of it, just the look of it. So we went over excellence 2 weeks ago. We're going to hit service hard today. Our values, the excellence, the service, accountability, respect, compassion, community, and gratitude. We want to hit those really hard. So this across here will be the next book that's coming out. Of course, this is the 8 Steps book that's already out, and where we ask you to judge yourself on a 1 to 10, 1 being you ain't even trying to do it, and 5 being like, I can check it off because I read a word, or I saw the cover of the book because I read. 10 being every night, or all 10 of these 8 steps. Okay, so each one of these, grade yourself on the 8 steps, being personal use, how are you working, listening, reading, attending meetings, being teachable and being accountable, and having a great attitude with communication. That's right. So we're going to hit this pretty hard, the service one right here, and the excellence we've already hammered on.
In this door, the reason we put prosperity, inspiration, eternity on the door is because that's what awaits you if you can get up these steps. That's right. You see how that works? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You like that?
I like that.
Okay.
I love that.
I just thought that up.
We talked about that for hours.
In corporate America, if you want to know, there's 4 on here that always rank in the top 4. So number 1 in corporate America, and when you do Fortune 500 companies, they do a survey. Integrity is always number 1. Integrity is always number 1. Respect is number 2. Accountability is number 3, and number 4 is excellence. So that's just they sort of flip a little bit, but most of the time that's the rank order for the last 20 years. That's how corporate America looks at it. A lot of what corporate America does not have, they do not have. They don't have compassion for their people, but they don't have compassion as a value. They don't have community. They don't have gratitude. These are unique. So if somebody's brand new here today and you want to what's different about the Alliance, then I just spelled it out for you. Those 3 is what makes us different. That's right. Big time.
Which 3?
Right here. Compassion, community, and gratitude.
The last 3 makes us totally different.
Completely different.
And those of y'all that don't know, Jeff Bright has worked with one of those organizations that's supposed to help industry. So he is a sociologist by background. That's your education. Traveled all over the United States, done seminars, and it works out of this county, Alamance County, but travels all over the United States. As a matter of fact, one of my best friends, a big-time attorney, introduced me to Jeff, and he said he was doing a seminar talking about industry and how things work and how people's minds work. And he said, you got to meet this guy. Now, it was how many years ago that Derek?
It's 8 years now.
8 years ago. So he started coming in and talking to us and said, hey, one day I'd like to work with y'all exclusively. And so when he retired after 30 years?
30 years.
30 years at the community college and working with industry. And so we're thrilled to have him in here. It's been a lot of fun. If y'all have ever done any of the inventories, we did one with agency managers, what do we call it, the power levels or the
power perception profile.
Power perception
profile.
So how do you use your 7 levels of power to get things done? And for those of you that are coming into Instant Thunder, we plan on doing some of the inventory with different groups. So it's really cool stuff. All right, so to get into service, we have cooked up a recipe for you that we know will work. Okay? All right, so Jeff, you want to kind of do the highlights of it?
So maturity, if you can't read this, maturity plus optimism plus civil courage, and we're going to define all these, award you the right to be service-minded. You're going to be service-minded if you somehow or another can rectify these in your own brain, that you're going to have a positive outlook if you're going to be optimistic. You're going to have a responsible type attitude about you if you're mature, and you're going to be selfless in your behavior toward others. It's not going to be about you, it's going to be about them, and that's civil courage. I will do this recipe within the recipe like we did last time with excellence. There will be 2 words that make up maturity, 2 words that make up optimism, and 2 words that make up civil courage. So we'll dig deep, drive depth like we talk about here with these 2 words. And we've got some quotes, and we got a lot of good stuff like we did last time. So do you want me to start off? I
want to kind of give you the
I was going to read the
redneck version of this brilliant philosophy. Okay, so make sure you understand this. We brought in all the top Alliance executives, all the top writers, all the top recruiters, and we came up with this. This is who we are. As a matter of fact, the brainstorming for this, if you want to see it, is up in the main conference room, one of the doors that folds shut. That's a picture of the brainstorming where we were saying, all right, is this who we are? Well, nah, this is who we are. And service made the cut, as in we've got to deliver service. So then what Jeff is doing, along with the input, Alex Abian was shooting us notes, Patrick Connors, a lot of different people input, and you're welcome to give us input on this. Stories, poems, quotes, examples that fit into this next book. So we're writing the book right before your eyes. So maturity, responsible attitude. I was getting a comment in my 30s about you act like an old man. You're thinking about life insurance. You're thinking about when you die. You're thinking about your kids, and your kids are tiny babies and they're not grown up or anything. And that's what, if I had the ability to young people, I could make them old inside, like an old soul, but a fresh, crazy body. In other words, like, let's say you say, like, I'm going to be rich when I'm 50. Well, yeah, you're going to be old. You can't ski and stuff. You can, but you're going to break something, you know? We got evidence of that. People. But, I mean, you want to stay in good shape as long as you can, but if I had a choice, I'd get you wealthier younger. And the only way I can do that is get you mature, get you thinking older. It's a proven fact that people that know they're going to die do more when they're alive. People that think they're going to live like, oh, I got tomorrow, I can do it next week. And I'll be like, I don't know about next week, because you know something could happen. Does that make sense? If I can get you that. So he's getting into what does that look like to be mature. Optimistic is, and I say this all the time, I'm the most negative positive person there is. I am positive we're going to have problems. I believe we're going to get through it. I believe we're going to get through it. It's an optimistic way to know that stuff's going to happen, but it's going to work out. And it works out a lot quicker if we're a team, and we get over a lot more problems if we have momentum. Right. And then civil courage, this thing about how do you morally get over sitting on your butt? Like, how do you, like when because you're going to miss your kids, you're going to lose, you're not going to see your kids sometimes. You're not going to get to watch some television shows that you really like. You're not going to get to sit on your deck as like you like and just sit there and just sit. So how do you mentally deal with, I got to go do something? Where does that come from? How do you justify your giving up your pleasure and you're eating bonbons and being fanned by the fern, you know? How do you get over that? How do you deal with that? That's civil courage. How do you hit that? So, all right, Jeff.
So we have in the book format that we've got so far, we have a definition for each one of these core values, and the one we have for service right now doesn't mean that's the one we're going to stick with. Is Gandhi's quote, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." Now, I like that one, but equally I do like Helen Keller's quote, "Life is an exciting business. It is the most exciting when it's lived for others." Both of them are saying that, you know, we need to put others before ourselves. It's a basic belief that's biblical out of the I think it's the Old Testament where it talks about, or maybe somebody can tell me where we're talking about the Good Samaritan. And that the moral of that story is to put others before yourself. You're not supposed to stop for just who you want to stop for. You're supposed to stop for everyone. It's not a situational thing. It's an unconditional support. And that's kind of why we're basing it on that premise. Now, so let's look at maturity. And Andy can go over this with us, but I think that the key words there is the way you respond to something is a litmus test of your maturity. That response. Because I know when I was younger, I used to make snap decisions. I could lose my temper just like that. I'd be in a softball game wanting to fight over something I'm not even getting paid to do. As I got older, I was in the middle of those fights, being thrown around like a rag doll because I was the littlest person out on the field also.
I would say as he got mature, Because you do see people older still doing it. Or as he say, acting like a youngin', acting like a child, which is different than childlike faith. It's more like dumb child, not childlike faith. It's a whole different game.
And don't you think, Andy, that appropriate manner, that's open for interpretation, but we don't want it to be open for interpretation. That's why we're defining these core values. We're trying to set a standard of decency and teach people how to act like they got some sense. I like it. You know? So that's the appropriate behavior we're talking about. No matter what your surroundings are, you rise above the fray. And Tim calls that having moral authority. And if you'll notice, when we talk about maturity, one of the words that I use to define that is moral authority, this moral development. And knowing when to back away from something. You know, I had a lady ask me yesterday, she said, what advice would you give me? Because she often will, in a meeting, will speak her mind, and nobody likes her. And everybody kind of stays away from her office because they think she's an angry soul. And I told her, I said, how about when you're about to respond, count 10 seconds in your head. And maybe that thought will go away, or maybe you'll think of a nicer way to say it. So that's kind of what we're talking about. The older you get, the more you understand how your conscience works. That's when you know you're getting older and mature at the same time, that you understand how your conscience works. You have a conscience, and it takes over. Some people would call that guilt. You know, hopefully as you get older, you understand, you feel much more guiltier than you did. I know when I was in college, I did some stuff I don't want to talk about, and I'm not going to talk about. But I didn't feel guilty at all about doing it. If I went back now, I first of all, I wouldn't do it, and if I did, I'd feel really guilty. So my guilt level starts to rise as I've got mature. Does that make sense? The biggest and only critic that you have lives inside you. And the biggest problem we have with maturity in this reaction is you are reacting to a perception of someone else's perception.
Yeah, that's good right there.
You know, so you're trying to figure out what they're thinking, and you sort of create a scenario in your head that's not even real. Now you walk around like, oh, I think they're mad at me. You don't even know. But you go ahead and paint that scenario, and then you act a certain way, and they're thinking, why are you acting crazy today? And then maybe they were just having a bad day, but you become paranoid. But if you mature, you don't react to that stuff. Andy always, I like this quote Andy has, I'd rather be rich than right. People have this need when they're not mature to be right. That is a sign of immaturity. That you got to be right on everything. Even though you might know the right answer, maybe it's not the time to sort of beat your chest and say, I'm right. You want to say something to that?
Are you? Let me walk them through this statement. The ability to respond in an appropriate manner according to the circumstances and one's surrounding, which are tied to one's recognition of their meaning and purpose. So it's response tied to your meaning and your purpose. So if you respond like a crazy man, that's not tied to your meaning and purpose. Right. If you respond with trying to understand better because it's tied to your meaning and purpose, your response is totally different. This correlates into a need to service of others and a move away from cognitive approach to a moral development called moral authority. Here's what people try to do to me. They try to twist it the other way. They say things like, the reason I didn't say anything to the person who was disturbing the meeting is because I'm a nice person. That is not the kind of moral authority we're talking about. I'm a nice person. No, what you are is a self-centered, you-focused, lack of a stand-up person. The moral authority says our purpose is to build a team and a family and get massive and make a difference. This person interrupting, we can walk up to them now, screaming at them, shut up, you fool, what's wrong with you? Is not exactly the appropriate response. So you think about it and you go sit down beside them and you go, what's up, Bo? And either they know or you might have to whisper it to them. Does that make sense? You have a moral obligation, a moral authority to serve the team. Does that make sense? But people try to twist it on me like, the reason I didn't. Okay? In the house, our ability to get a check, to get them covered. Well, I'm just not that kind of person. Yeah, you have no moral authority. You're not tied to your meaning and purpose. If you're tied to your meaning and purpose, you talk them, explain it to them a different way, and then explain it to them a different way, and a different way, and a different way until they got it. And if you have to, you call your upline and say, hey, listen, I'm trying to explain to them a situation, and they ain't quite home yet. Could you try to work with them?
That's right.
But we don't leave. We're trying to figure it out because we got this moral responsibility for service that we have to live up to. See, it takes it in a different direction, a more mature, a more adult position, not screaming at them and not leaving. It's that not cussing them out, but not walking out without a check. There's somewhere in between. That's what we're shooting for, that authority. Makes sense.
You know, the word is discernment. To have, let's go back to that one. Discernment is understanding how to respond in certain surroundings. You know, sometimes you can escalate it. Sometimes you need to take it back. You got to know. You get a gauge. This whole idea of cognitive. You know, that's such a big word. All that means is everything's got to add up for you, and that makes you want to be right about everything. So we're trying to move away from that type approach and go to a more moral authority, which is saying, let your conscience be your guide. Instead of letting everything has to add up. You know, everything don't add up sometimes. When you're dealing with human beings, it
definitely. How about this? Not your moral high horse. Not your moral high horse, but your moral authority. You with me? When you put yourself above, like, I didn't say anything to him because I'm a nice person, and that's not who I am. Like, bro, come on, man. We got to fix it. Because with your moral authority, you might get some pushback.
Right.
Somebody might not like you. But that's authority. You have the authority that it's okay. That's why Jane Albright, my wife's a great school teacher. She taught for 7 years, never had a behavior problem with her kids because she had authority quickly. She knew what the goal was, and it didn't matter if all the kids didn't like her. Now, ain't it crazy how it turns and the kids like the ones that take moral authority but don't do the moral high horse? Okay? We rocking on that one, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm rocking. There you go. Let's go to the next one.
Okay. I'm in.
All right, so we have our
All
two.
right, so here we are. What we're doing is we hit maturity, and now we're going to...
No, we're not going. We're going to do these two.
We'll go right here. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're still
on maturity.
Right here.
Yep. And we're going to do the recipe for maturity.
Okay.
Identity and moral authority. We've been talking about that, right? We just talked about that. And we talked about in that definition, you heard, he said meaning and purpose, and moral authority. Those words were used in that definition. Now you see how this is coming together, right? So we're splitting this in half. So let's look at the first part of the formula, healthy identity. What I'm really talking about here is your self-worth. If you don't have self-worth, how are you going to really be servicing others if you don't know who you are? But see, self-worth starts with liking who you are. It starts there. You got to like who you are. And then you can talk about this thing called identity, because identity is about knowing who you are. So if you want to know who you are, then you've got to take it to the what and the why. The what and the why create the who.
Okay.
And the who creates the like.
Okay.
See how that works? I went the opposite way, but I'm coming back to you. So what is, you find meaning in the what, and you find purpose in your why. And you must have both of these together to have a healthy identity. You can't have one without the other. And guess what we struggle with in this country? Which one of the what or the why? Which one do you think is the toughest one to get? The what or the why? The meaning or the purpose? The why. We find what we do gives us meaning. So we find meaning in what we do. Sell, build, recruit.
What we do, why we do.
That's exactly right. That's good. You just thought that right there.
Yeah.
That's good. This is organic.
Here's what I was thinking. Is people say, I'm struggling with my why. Well, I don't know if you're part of this family or not, but if you like being part of this family, this is your why, bro. Right. We just solved that for you. You say, well, that's not who my why is. You might not be this family. Right. If you don't believe in prosperity and inspiring others and you don't think there's going to be eternity, like, bro, seriously, come on, what else is it? So the way I think is, okay, it's a little different, but this is who we are. We know this is who we are. This fits. And this is what we do. We're not doing prepaid legal. Right. We're not doing T-shirts or baked potatoes.
That's right.
Does that make sense? We life insurance, brother. I like annuities. That is a life insurance product. You didn't get 100 on your test, did you? We're life insurance. All right. Okay, so this makes sense. The what, the why, you got it. So listen, what we're doing is we're thinking, so there are people here who go, this is a lot. No, this is less. Think of the stuff that everybody else worries about. What the 100 people around you think, what your neighbors think, what your mama thinks. What if, maybe, possible. This eliminates so much and narrows it down to so simple and so little so we can run wide open. Right. No piddling. No wondering. No lost. No, what? Right. No. Let's go. We've got a million things to do.
You remember the quote I've given before? We don't get burned out on what we do. We get burned out when we forget why we do it.
We forget why.
You've got to marry these two. They can't be separate. We lead off in this country with this. This is our identity. Everybody walks up to you and goes, well, what do you do for a living? Well, what do you do? That's how we identify ourselves, is on the what. We have got to get closer to our why, or that what is it makes us get burned out, and then we wake up one day and we're an old person that we're like, have we wasted the last 30 years? I'll be honest with you. I know I did something that was making a difference at that college for 30 years, but I questioned myself for a long time whether that I was really making a difference, because we talk about making a difference at this company. I didn't think I was, because when people are not looking at me like you're looking at me and making eye contact with me, and they were not making eye contact and they were doing something else while I was talking, I questioned whether my why was being fulfilled at that college. But I found my why when I came here. I knew that it existed here. I had to wait till I could retire, and that was a hard couple years. I mean, those last 5 were, he knows what I went through. Yeah, because it would have made it worse because I had seen this. You know, it's like I got a taste of something. I love persimmon pudding. That's my favorite dessert. And I don't ever get it much. And I came over here and I'd get some persimmon pudding, but I had to go back over there and eat just plain old pound cake. So let's go to more authority, and I'm going to give Tim a lot of kudos here, because Tim uses this word a lot. This is Tim's word. Tim Goad, if you don't know that person, you need to get to know Tim. But Tim is one of our consultants, and he's more of a spiritual consultant, and he talks about moral authority all the time. And he used to talk about it, and I just sort of ignored it. And now I'm beginning to wonder, Tim is a genius, but we just don't understand when he's saying something. It takes us about 3 years before we figure out we better start using that word. So moral authority, I like the word, and I think Andy does too, is alignment. I think that's the key word to understand moral authority. Are you in alignment with the value systems that you follow? We have value systems here. Are you in alignment? Are you out of alignment? You will know if you're out of alignment. And it's hard for you to lead others if you don't have something that you believe in yourself. I try to tell people moral authority is about accepting the years of wisdom that you've been on this earth, that you've gathered, and use that to your advantage instead of making a quick knee-jerk reaction to something and using the minutes that created in your life that made you emotionally get attached to something, and you made a bad call because you're relying on these few emotional minutes of a knee-jerk decision and not relying on all the years that you know better. People always say, why don't you teach classes on teaching people how to carry themselves and how to have dignity? I'm like, you all know how to do that. We choose to do bad.
Right.
Everything we're talking about here, we don't need to have a class on it. You need to make a conscious choice today. I got to stop doing those things. We know right from wrong. We choose wrong.
You're teaching good, sir.
So walking the walk. There's a recipe for walking the walk. Did you put that up there? Well, yeah, there it is right there. Walking the walk. You've heard walking the walk before, that term? Talk the talk, walk the walk. Well, walking the walk is going to happen after you leave here. We're talking the talk right now, but walking the walk is the proofs in the pudding, as he says. And walking the walk is these three things: having honor, obedience, and having good judgment. That's what we want from you as agents. To honor the thing that we've created here, honor this business, have obedience to the rules, the laws of the land, and use good judgment. That's when you walk the walk. If you don't walk the walk, you're being judgmental instead of honoring. You are being reactionary instead of being obedient. And you are being resentful instead of using good judgment. That's not walking the walk.
Hey, Terry, you probably ain't never heard this. Nick, you might not have, but my daddy said this a couple times. He said, I hope them 5 minutes was worth it for that boy.
Yeah.
So what was he doing, Daddy? He said, I don't know. Choose accepting the wisdom over the 5 minutes of emotionally clouded judgment. You know, when that boy hauled off and slapped that guy at that ball game, remember that? I hope that 5-minute fight was worth it, because he was emotionally clouded when he made that decision to punch him right in the face.
Right.
Does that make sense?
And it's that quote that I always use, and here anytime I got a chance to say it, I'll say it over and over again. It comes back to the same quote from Alice in Wonderland, when the white rabbit was sitting there, and Alice walked up to the white rabbit and said, "How long is forever?" And the white rabbit basically said this. He said, "It only takes a minute if you make bad choices." Forever you can change your forever in 5 minutes. And you know what? I hate when I had those kids, and as I got older, I was 24 when I started there. So I wasn't much older than them. That was a struggle. But as I got older and the gap started to get bigger, I started to want to save them. Because I saw a train wreck, and I couldn't stop it. And you know how frustrating it is not to be able to stop a train wreck when you're seeing it about to happen? These young people, they were about to make the same mistakes that I made, and I tried to stop them. I know you try to do that with your kids. Yeah. It's frustrating, isn't it?
Hey.
And it's frustrating with agents.
It's what we're doing. It's what we're doing. It's what we do. Y'all know a lot of country songs are based on this, right? I know what I was feeling, but I don't know what I was thinking. They try to learn you in songs. They try to learn you in class. And now we done put a recipe together.
You ready to go on the next one?
All right, you got this down here. You want to do this. Recognition of a person's influence by their efforts to demonstrate personal commitment to follow through objectively to the fullest extent of reason, creating right conduct.
Yeah.
Belief, intention, and action all lining up is what comes back to maturity. The belief, the intention, and the actual actions lined up.
That's how they define right conduct. Tim always tells me that once you recognize you have influence, now you have moral authority. And once you have moral authority, it's sort of like spitting in the wind if you try to do anything wrong after that.
All right, so here we go back to.
We're going to optimism.
So here we are. Service. Service comes from maturity, optimism, and servantful courage. So that's where we're at. And then we're going to optimism. So we hammered on maturity. Now we're going optimism, I hope.
You all do see the correlation between being mature and being able to be service-minded. You do see that. Okay. All right. Let's make sure. All right. So optimism, we've got, you want to talk about, you want me to do that?
Go ahead.
So a disposition, like a type of outlook, a type of demeanor, or your way to see favor in something, or look at something in a good light, to expect good things and good outcomes from that favor, and hopefully that will create a more hopeful mindset, which also leads to having a service mindset. So that quote, Andy can hit it in just a second, but I want to tell you what that really means to me. I don't know if it's a bunch of words on a page, I know. There's a lot of flowery words there. But basically what that means is, I'm more service-minded when I wake up happy. I know that I find myself, I don't know if it's consciously or subconsciously, but if I see somebody that needs me to open the door, I'm going to run over there because I'm having a great day. And I'm going to go help people more. I'm more apt to help people if I'm having a good day. Whereas if I'm having a bad day and the dark clouds over me and I'm in a little cocoon, I'm closed off from the world, I'm not available, I'm not inviting, I am in my own way. I'm not going to help somebody that's having a bad day. I'm not even going to notice them. So you see the correlation between being service-minded and having a good day.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
Just talked to Debbie Ben. She is bound and determined to come into number one on this $100,000 contest. Not that you get any more money at number one. She just, for the pride, the sake of doing it, is going to be number one. So optimism leads to action and service. 16 inches of snow. Do you go or do you sit? Are you negative outlook or optimistic outlook? Everybody's going to be home. And I'm going to be fine.
Right.
And we're going to change these people's lives. You see what I'm saying? That's the story behind it. I told you before, me and my wife and Debbie, they talk way different, but they think alike in a lot of things. And Debbie's texting her, talking to her. Sometimes she'll be sitting out at somebody's house waiting for them, sitting and waiting on their porch. Neighbors coming up to her saying, "Can we help you?" She says, "No, I'm just waiting on these people to come out. And by the way, who are you? And this is what we do, and I'll come see you next." And she's just talking to my wife, waiting on the people to get home and meeting the neighbors. Whereas another person says, "I can't get this form signed. I can't get it issued." The carrier should overlook their responsibilities and just go ahead and issue it. They can't overlook their moral authority. They have a contract that's got to get signed. You got to get it signed. And you wait because you're optimistic, as opposed to sitting at home complaining and worrying. This is I want to put pictures, livid pictures, on what this means. Hoping that you're going to win the contest is not optimism. That's different. Service. Optimism that turns into service. You good on that?
Yeah, we tie. I got a quote here. Well, it's not really a quote. It's one of my favorite poets, Samuel Ullman.
Read it to him, Jeff. Read it to him.
It's because I think we need to stay young at heart. You know, I'm 56, but I'm not dead yet.
That's right.
So I like this because I read it when I was in college, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to always remember that when I get to be. I thought everybody was old when they got over 50. And now that I'm over 50, I was right. All right, so here we go. Youth is called, the poem's called Youth, if you want. I'm just taking an excerpt. It's a long poem. Youth is not a time of life, but it is rather a state of mind. It's kind of what we've been talking about. Nobody grows old merely by a number of years. We grow old by deserting our ideas and ideals. Years may wrinkle our skin, But to give up our enthusiasm wrinkles our soul. That's what we're talking about, is having that enthusiasm that Andy was talking about. Whether 60 or 16, there is in every human being's heart the lure of wonder, the unfailing childlike appetite of what's next, and the joy of the game of living. Because we got two choices, folks. We can get on with living, we can get on with dying. When your spirit is covered with the snows of cynicism and the ice of pessimism, then you grow old, my friend. But when you catch the wave of optimism, there is hope that you may die young at 80. So I thought that's pretty cool.
If you think about this, if you can get an old soul when you're young, you will have a fresh soul when you're old. That makes sense? Because if you're young and stupid on the outside and young and stupid on the inside, when you get old, you got the consequences to pay for those decisions, and now here you're all old and old. Versus if you make the right decisions. Tricking on this? All right, we're rocking, man. We've got to move.
All right, so we're going
optimism.
These two, trust and hope. All right, so I'll hit these real quick. I've said before, trust is separating your past from your future. It's easier said than done. And I believe what this is believing in a bigger and better tomorrow. And until you can do that, you're not going to be one that's going to be a proponent of creating unity, especially in your team. This is big. Unity in your team is getting people to be on page with acceptance, agreement, and alignment. So what that does, acceptance creates a safe environment for your team where people don't feel like they're coming to a place where they have to walk on eggshells. Promoting a supportive climate is when you start to agree with the message and people start to find common ground with each other. Now you're really getting a close-knit team. And then alignment is when everybody gets on the same page with each other and people have each other's back. There's strength in numbers at that point. That's how you create unity. Acceptance, agreement, and alignment. That's how you get a terrific downline in a team. All right, let's go to hope. Hope, what it does is creates bond. And we'll talk about that in a second. Hope is when you believe that things can get better for you. You have not lost hope. You believe things can get better for you. You believe that life is a gift. And I like this quote by Mark Twain about that. The best way to cheer yourself up is to try to cheer someone else up. And so bond is affected by three things. And I think this is how we go about getting people to join this business. We've got to do it in this order, this progression. Especially we're on the phone. Like, I'm looking at somebody over here that's on the phone a lot. We're trying to make ourselves attractive. Because if we're not attractive, they're not going to be attracted to our business. And I'm not talking physically attractive. I'm talking about making that initial connection with people. Because you only have a few minutes to make this happen. And then it's over. That door is shutting. That window is closing, right? Now, once you get them attracted to you, then you share affection, which is this. I call this one connection. The second C here is you start caring for them and loving on them and telling them what Tim says. You matter. Now, the last thing, if they start to believe they matter, then you move them over to attachment, and then that forms the last C, which is commitment. They're now committed to this business and your team. That's the progression of creating a bond with people. Is that all clear with you? We got some clarity on that? I know I hit that really.
Okay. You're not worried you're going to get cut down or put out or made fun of for any reason in our hot spots. Right. We're service-oriented. We're safe-oriented. We're supportive. If a person's struggling, we're giving them a hand up. We're not making ourselves look better by putting them down. Strength in numbers. When it's 27 of us that are believing the same thing and that 28th person comes in, we're strong. Yeah. And the more unified we are, that's why I said, if someone's stepping out of line on any of our playbook, you're hurting us. Please stop hurting us. Now, we can't scream at them because it's a safe environment and a supportive and a strong, but we can certainly keep teaching it and hoping,
That's right.
optimistic. I think he's going to change, but I don't think he's going to change this week. Maybe he will change this week, or maybe she will. You track it. This is what the exact definition of what we want. What we need to do in hotspots too is get people up and say, how is it safe here? Like, so it's interactive. How do we support each other? Can you give me an example of something that we've done in San Antonio, Texas, where I'm going to be visiting, or Rancho, where we supported the other person? We have, up in Seattle, there's a lot of support going on for a family that has a child that suddenly became ill, and they're supporting that team. They're a family. Other people that are seeing this come on board faster, stronger, quicker, with more premium, more sales, more everything, because they feel it. They feel that emotional attraction to this team. Okay.
Well, let me say this, Andy, that strength part, I think we're doing really well on all these. This was the one that I'd like to see us work a little bit harder on, is when people are in a home and they're out there stranded and they've never done this before, and some of you got a mechanism in place where they can get 20 people on the phone just like that. But not everybody's done. We've got to get better at that. The strength in numbers where they know they're not alone ever. Everybody's got their back. Even people they don't work for, they're not in their downline. If they get you on the phone, you're not supposed to switch them over to somebody else. You're supposed to try to help that person. That person don't care whose downline you're in. They just know they need some help. We need to live that a little better.
We did an hour call with President's Club yesterday on how some people are just recruiting, and they fail. I mean, in other words, they're not getting anybody to stick. They're not getting anybody to do it. They can't get anybody to move. We're telling you exactly. This is a formula for what we talked about for an hour. People ask questions, and it's just it has changed tremendously in Alliance in the last 24 months. How many people are becoming successful with us? And it's because of this formula. So that when you're on the phone, let me just relate it to on the phone. It's that first spark that you create. And the way we create that spark is usually asking about them, not talking about us. Because most people, when they're interviewed, they're selling them on how great our company is. And our greatness of our company is we care about you.
That's right.
Our greatness of our company is we want to know about your situation. Who are you? Do you fit? That's what we're going through. So that's where it creates that spark. Then becomes the honeymoon phase. Okay? The honeymoon, where no matter what they do, we're nice, we're okay, we got more leads, we got another chance, there's always tomorrow. So we get them through this la-li-la, let's go, nobody's doing anything wrong, we know everybody makes mistakes. And then we're in this together. Your success is tied to my success, and the fact that you're not succeeding, we need for you to start getting referrals. This becomes more coaching when we're together. This, I'm not so worried about. And a lot of people, they want to stay in the honeymoon phase when they come into Alliance. Like, come on, eventually we've got to be together. Now, some people try to put them together right here. Like, this is what you're going to do, because if you don't sell, I ain't going to get no money. I ain't going to get a promotion. Like, whoa. We're going to get to that later. You got to remember what phase you're in. And the other thing that people don't understand is, like, I've got people in the spark phase, I got people in the honeymoon phase, and I got people in the together phase. So, well, I've been in for about a year and a half where I am. We're in the together phase. You need to pick it up.
That's right.
We're a team. We need strength in numbers. We need you to pick up the pace. We need for you to do the right thing. We need you to put down your little distractions and let's focus. Game time, national championship, we're in the big dance, in the March Madness.
You know, in the book, we might want to make a note in here for me and you say, you know that story you tell about Where's My Buddy, the military story?
Yeah.
It reminds me of this a little bit. The strength.
I like it.
You know, it's
where am I? Where's my buddy? And where's the enemies? Where am I? Where is my buddies? Where is the enemy? All right. Okay.
Let's go to the next one.
All right, you got it? Here we go. Service, maturity, optimism, and civil courage. All this lined up, driving us back to service. So here we go on civil courage. Light it up.
It's your choice. You're making a choice, a conscious choice. You know why you're making a choice? Because you have free will to make a choice. That's what's good about living in America. We have free will to make a choice, to stand up for what we think is right, what we think is just. And then we have this willingness from that momentum we have from thinking that we need to stand up for something to recognize and confront things that we think are wrong. I like this. I mean, this is a great quote to put with this by Cornel West. I don't know if y'all know who Cornel West is. He's got a lot of degrees from Harvard, Princeton, Yale, and he's got doctorates from all three of them. He teaches at all three of them. He said, and we're going to talk about empathy in a little bit, he said, empathy is not simply a matter of trying to imagine what others are going through, but having the will to muster enough courage, civil courage as he called it, to do something about it. It's like empathy on steroids. It's not good enough, he says, just to notice someone else's pain and trying to get into their mind and say, hey, tell me what you're feeling. Then, once you find out, he says, you got to have the civil courage to stand up and do something about it to help that person. And even though there's going to be possible negative outcomes from you standing up, because sometimes doing that is not popular, and you're going to be discouraged, and the opposition is going to try to put you down. But you need to stand for what you believe. In this case, we're trying to stand up for what we believe here at the Alliance. And, the discouragement can be outside voices, outside the Alliance, like your family. I like this quote because Andy talks about not reacting to these attacks. And I was under attack a couple years before I left the college. Crazy thing happened. And I called, and first thing I did, I picked up the phone and called Andy. And, somebody made I've never had a charge against me ever at the college. And come to find out, they planted somebody in my room to try to set me up before I left. Yeah. And that was actually a female who was saying that I was anti-female and that I was, against women.
The first thing I told him, I said, I will testify that you are not anti-female.
Yeah, that's the first thing he said, yeah. And so I know, y'all know I'm a little bit liberal. And so well, maybe a lot liberal. And it hurt me that I was being attacked as a liberal by liberals. I mean, the person that is the least prejudiced is being attacked. Because I fought my whole life for women's rights and walked in parades with them, and then for somebody to do that to me, it really hurt me. And I called Andy, and Andy said, I just got a piece of advice. It's a great quote that goes right there. Don't sweat it and don't stir it.
That was the second comment. First one was, I will testify. And I told him that was a bad idea marching, too. But
Yeah.
Hey, listen, you'll recognize how I tell you. He's right. I say don't sweat it, don't stir it. Like, because he wanted to engage in the argument. He wanted to
defend myself.
Rectify the situation. He had to. That was his. And most people, and a lot of people fight. He didn't fight me at all on it. He just went, just kind of give me that. Well, there you go. Like, I was just like, why you want to engage in the people? They're trying to pick a fight. Open your hands up, drop them down by your side like this right here, and go, well. It's why. Y'all know how dog dookie is, right? If you've ever been around dog dookie, we were just dog sledding. I love everything about dog sledding, but the smell of the dog dookie. My wife said it don't last long. I'd be like, I don't like it. And if you want to mess with something, stir that stuff right there. We had a conversation on the way back. The woman, she said, horse manure don't smell as bad as dog. I said, no, it don't, but I ain't smelling none of it if I can help it. I ain't going to stir none of it if I can help it. And don't smear it. Right? Like when you go to fight dog dookie, there is no fighting it. Let it dry. Does that make sense?
And he said a third thing to me, though. He said, and which was the most important, he said, Jeff, I know who you are, and I know what you stand for, and I know what your character is. He said, and you know, and that's all that matters. And that was enough for me.
But see, watch this. The social consequences could become negative. My mama said, but my neighbor said, but they said in the paper, but they said, you with me? These are negative social consequences, and we're saying do the right thing. Let me tell you this. Because people wonder about how I'm so daggum simple, and I go, you need to go to hotspot. You need to go to Massachusetts, and you need to do that hotspot. You need to go to Virginia Beach and do that hotspot. And I go, how do you know so? How are you so set in your ways like that, Andy? You say things depends. A lot of things depends, but not this don't depend. We do hotspots. We answer phone calls from people in the home. We deliver applications that or forms that need to be signed. We go out there and get the people to sign them. Right. Like these are back to this is our one page, who we are and what we do. Right. We get referrals.
That's what we do right there.
Like we don't not get referrals. Not getting referrals is a lack of civil courage. You see how that ties in? Like everything twists back to very simple stuff. Like this is who we are, regardless of negative consequences. We got to stick to what our issues and our tasks are. We got to confront. That's where we say, like, well, I didn't want to say anything to him. I knew he wasn't getting referrals, so I didn't want to say anything to him. Well, we got a civil duty to do it. We got a civil duty to confront and say, hey, brother, this is who we are and what we do. I didn't ask him about no safe money or nothing. Like, whoa. We got this duty bound to do it. People say, well, if we have all these duties, we're going to get rich. Well, that's the prosperity part. That's the prosperity part. Well, we're going to do all that money. That's the inspiration part. That's where you give it to the shoe distributor. So you can get more shoes. The earring distributor. The accessory distributor. We just inspire them. The car dealer. The church. We inspire the preacher. The goads. With it's a real simple circle. And you're just right here in the middle of it, just kind of guiding it. Make sense? Yeah. All right, we're good. We go to the formula for civil courage.
And this will be the one that's tougher for you to make the correlation back to civil courage, but you have to follow me here. Now, I did, before I decided to do this morning, I double-checked with Doc Rock and got some biblical explanations, because anytime I'm talking biblical, I want to check with a preacher. So we're talking about mercy and grace. Mercy and grace. Now, the main thing I want to check with him is I had the right definition for both, and the correlation I made as a sociologist is mercy is really sympathy. That's a sociology word, and this is the biblical word. Grace is really empathy. They're one and the same. And I'll explain that in a second. But you can't display civil courage. You're not going to be able to do the right thing if you don't understand these two concepts. If you don't have the ability to rise above people that are coming at you, you're going to be, like Andy said, that definition, I'm going to be clouded by their attacks, and it's going to be a diversion. And I'm not going to do my life's work if I got caught up in that controversy. Right. Does that make sense? So I've got to have mercy and grace for those people that tried to set me up, right, so I can continue doing the right thing. And that's tough. If anything's tough, that's tough on us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we want to fight. Our natural instinct is to fight back. But we're not asking you to fight back. We're not asking you to take the boxing gloves off completely. There might be a time you might have to put them on. But when you're trying to display civil courage. So, mercy is what I said is sympathy, basically because of the word compassion. Merited compassion toward lawbreakers or sinners. That's we're getting into a biblical explanation there. So having compassion for the people that are your enemies, that are attacking you, and are giving you a hard time. I checked with Doc, and he said this was exactly spot on. Mercy is God not giving us or not delivering punishments to us when we deserve said punishment. That's what mercy is. And I was thinking, which one do I want the most? Mercy or grace placed on me? I want mercy. I want mercy first. When I'm in trouble, I want somebody not to punish me and forgive me and give me another chance, don't I? That's what I want. Now, grace, as far as empathy, unmerited favor from God, okay, which is God giving us a blessing when we don't deserve it. So empathy is when you look at somebody and you don't agree with anything they say. Matter of fact, you're totally against everything they stand for, and you give them their voice to let them say their truth without judgment. Giving people a voice and not interrupting their say. Let them speak their truth without you judging it. That's tough, isn't it? Even though you don't think they're befitting of your time. So what do you think about that?
You ever felt like there's more of them against us than there were for us?
That's right.
It's when they're against us and we just go, nah. It's compassion. Just because they're against us don't mean we got to kill them. We don't have to attack them.
That's right.
We've got other things to do called service to others. We got to go right business. We got to go recruit. We got to go to build. We got to go help this family. This guy and his wife are struggling. They're fighting. We got to go calm them down. Get everybody calm down. That's service when we take that phone call. When we get up and take that phone call and say, hey, what's going on with y'all? What's going on? Oh, you having a hard time? Having a situation? Let's walk you through this. Let's think about it. Everybody calm down. Work this through. When people are, breathe, dog. That's right. All right. I'm so impressed, not so impressed. It cracks me up. I've told Jeff this, and Goad. I see it was like, these people believe in God, but they believe something a little bit different. These people believe in God, and at least but it's a little bit different. These people believe in God, but it's a little bit different. I'm always impressed with people that go like, these are right. And I go like, how did you know that? And I go, I just know. Okay, bro, what if all three were right and you being the guru is wrong? How are you so cocky that you know everything? What I know is not many things. The less I know, the less you believe in and focus on, the more simple, now the more room in your life for doing. Because you don't have to evaluate so many things. If I can get you real little, then you can go through many holes, many doorways, many houses, many hearts. The smaller you are, like you say, it's in Africa, you're not so worried about the elephants as you are the mosquitoes.
Right.
You can see the elephants coming, them mosquitoes will sneak up on you. If I can get you small, that's when we're going to do the damage. Does that make sense? Like with the grace, like don't be so deadgum. If you say, well, you want me to be like God? Well, more like God than the person that ain't like God at all. God being that people that don't deserve it, hey, you want me to give him another chance? You want to give him some more leads, one more try? Yeah, give him a little grace. So, you want me to do it forever? No. Remember, we got phases. Which phase are we in? We're in the together phase? Or are we in the beginning phase or the honeymoon phase? What phase are we in? But you got to have grace. You tracking on this? We're on. Yeah, because there's a quote that I didn't say before, but Andy liked it. He just sort of sums this up. We go back to maturity. Maturity is not when we start speaking big things. It is when we start understanding small things. You know what? What's going to make us big is it's attention to detail on the small things. We start doing the small things right, we're going to get big.
That's what's creating the momentum. We got more people doing the little things. The dress code, the on time, the early, the cookies, the clapping, the laughing out loud, and doing it at the right time, don't sound artificial. All them little things is what wins ball games. And we're shooting for a national championship, people.
So we want to wrap it up with this last
we need
thing?
to.
All right. So I took this right out of the playbook because the playbook's where we started. And when I first met Andy, he goes, help me define these core values. Well, it's kind of funny going back and reading them now. You know, I had no idea what this business. I want y'all to know, I wrote a generic definition based on any company I would go to. If I could write these over again, I'd write them differently. But this is a big giant flyby from a big distance in the air when I wrote these. So I wrote for service, we guarantee customer satisfaction by providing assurance that every associate will go the extra mile. Well, associate could be anybody. You know, we're all trying to do this. Customer satisfaction, courtesy drives satisfaction. Service to me is when courtesy meets devotion, when they marry each other. Courtesy drives satisfaction, and devotion drives us going the extra mile. And that's kind of the idea I had when we were writing these. But you know what? Please, let us try to, we're going to do this book, and maybe we'll change these definitions to be more user-friendly or more apples to apples. But that's, when you read these, you hear the words associate, we're talking about agent, or we're talking about a lot of different people that work here. This is a more generic definition. But you see where it goes, right? And Andy, you want to end it with that?
All right, got it. Being courteous, but when you're devoted. Imagine that in your hotspot. If everybody in there was devoted to the hotspot, and devoted to being courteous, and devoted to helping others. Take it in the house. What if you're devoted to help your client? Now you don't care what they think as much as you do what your objective is and try to help them. You want them to love you, want them to like you, want them to give you a gift, but we got to get the job done. And we do a hot spot. We're devoted to it. Okay. Service-minded people every day. Who am I going to help today? He said it earlier. You want to get hope? Deliver hope.
That's right.
Encourage another person that brings it to you. Every day looking to help somebody and find a solution. There's some way, somehow, you're going to get out of this circumstance. Some way, somehow, you're going to laugh again.
Yeah.
Someday, some way,
That's right.
you're going to get it.
Oh, you're preaching good.
This is what we do. All right? You good, Jeff?
Yep, good.
You let me go into the numbers?
Yep.
All right, here we go. That's it. Service, maturity, optimism, civil courage. All right, we need to do some numbers up in here.
All right. Have it.
Here we go. Is there a updated... It might be on here. Nope. Do I have an updated March Madness? Help me. Do I or don't I? I don't have an updated one. I have one in my email address, which makes me wonder, why do I not have one up here? Help me. Help me, peoples. I can make one up. Because I know it's accurate.
Like it was in the bottom right when you scrolled over it. You just didn't see the little thumbnail one.
It looked like it was.
Looked like it was.
I've got one if they can't produce one. All right. How about do I have Good Samaritan bonus information up? Is that loaded up, Billy? Okay. All right, go back to where you just were, Billy, and I'll show you where the, go to this all carriers. Okay, there it is right there. You have it. There it is right there. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Here's our numbers. He's getting ready to blow it up a little bit larger. Here's our numbers. Michelle Alleman is leading the country in the March Madness contest with 23,000. I want to point out that Mike and Michelle were in Steamboat with us the first week.
That's right.
So they were turning in applications as they left.
Yep.
And they stayed on the extension.
Yep.
Something about that, ain't it?
Yep.
Chadwick Ray, I want to point out that they were at Steamboat with us, and they were at the extension. Brant Swindell, I want to point out that he was at Steamboat with us. Like, well, it's what people don't understand. You said I need to skip the meeting and make the money. No, the people that go to the meetings make the money.
That's right.
Makes sense? All right. James and Jane, I want to point out that they were at the extension.
That's right.
There they are, right there. Woohoo! All right, check out Andrew Peters, guys. You want to talk about somebody that a lot of people said he ain't got a shot? And he said, I got a shot. What do you think, Andy? And I said, I know you got a shot. And Alex Abian said, I know you got a shot. And Jeff Bright looked at him and said, I know you got a shot. And Tim Goad said, I know you got a shot. Look at him. He's all up in there. Mr. Eric Belair. Mr. Michael Owens.
That's right.
Debbie Bean. There you are, Debbie. You ain't number one. But I'm predicting it. All right. And Sarge. So if the cutoff, I want y'all to know that this is through the 8th, March 8th. So this is, like if you're brand new, you're going like, if I wrote 5,000 in a month, wrote 5,000, this is issue paid numbers. Right. These are not submitted numbers. And this is in 8 days of the month, right. Issue paid over $10,000. So this is just letting you know what can be done, and these people did not work every single day. Right. They did not work every single day. You are allowed to work every single day if you want to make a lot of money. It's allowed. It's okay to do. All right, so here we go. I want you to see this. How many people did over 5,000 in the first 8 days? I think that's where it stops. Yep. 50 people did over $5,000 in premium in the first 8 days of the month, issue paid. Woo! That's called momentum right there. So, let's see who was close. Let's see who would have got the yellow stickies. James Coleman. No, wait a minute, I'm sorry. Coleman is in there. Coleman is in there. Coleman, you came in under the line. James Coleman, except for this contest is not over. But if the contest was over, James Coleman right there is where we would draw the line. That would be the top 10. Just missed it would be Dylan. Dylan, dadgummit. Justin Bailey, dad burn it, right there. Annette Clark, I like this one right here. Annette Clark and Angela Clark. Any relation there? No relation, no relation. Angela Clark's right there. All right, and Annette Clark, 9,000. Look at this. Look how tight it is. Look, the difference between here and here. What is that? 2 apps? 2 applications maybe? Dante Williams. Nick Narlis up there in New Jersey. Mimi. Here we go. Let's go ahead and do the top 20 at least. Nick Narlis right there. Nathan Thomas. Louis Abadi. Lou Abadi. Bill Cook right there. Book number 21. Cook told me this. Here's what he told me. He said, I'm going to work 20 days this month, and I'm going to write 5,000 issue paid per day. So apparently he's going to make phone calls a different day. So he meant work. He's going to be out there selling 20 different days. He said, I'm going to do 5,000 a day. And he said, I'm going to get at least 80% issued. So they'll give me 80,000 issue paid for the month personal production. Wow. That's what he's saying. He said, I think that'll become number 1. And I said, better check with Michelle. Because Michelle might have a different idea. And Debbie Ben, she got everybody snowed in the Northeast up there. And y'all know Owens, he don't like to lose. Bel Air, he wants the 10 grand.
That's right.
Andrew, he's got something to prove. And James Hill, he's got Jane.
That's right.
Everybody's got something. Don't feel bad, James. I used to tell Adam Katz all the time. He said, what's the best thing about me? I was like, you got Beth. He's like, other than Beth, what's good about me? So you're my best friend, buddy. James is recruiting, is going crazy, he's blowing up, and he might out and write a big app or two this month. Everybody's jumping in. We're creating momentum, all right? Y'all want to go a little bit further down? Especially if your name ain't been called, we want to go a little further down, don't we? Is Beth right over there on the front row? Is that Beth Ireland right there? There she is, right there, Beth Ireland. Marty Dozier, there he is. Wendy Foreman coming in strong. Nurse right there, baby. Here we go. Can y'all believe this stuff? Anthony Diaz, he's brand new down there in Florida, part of Andy Logan's team. Jay Turner, there he is. JT coming in. Nikki McMillan, there she comes rolling in. Terry Edwards, there he is, right there. Number 28 in the country, right there, Terry Edwards. You bet. You can bet. People always wonder why I call him You Bet. It's because that's his name. I'm betting on You Bet.
That's right.
I was talking to Mark Bisco Sr. last night. He's fired up out of his mind, dude. Working on policies, getting them issued. There goes Kimberly. Here's another one. This one right here from 31. She says, I'll be the one to come from the furthest behind to be number one. I said, all right now. I believe. But you know what? The numbers be the numbers. Joe Dukes, Travis Graham, how you say that? Chislane? Glenda Graham, Arnito Cato, Melissa Imami, what's how you say that? Melissa, that's how you say that. Here's another number one contender. I'm going to tell you what, when you see these highly rated people, it's going to be some shake-up in the makeup. I like, God, 5,000. Pam Moore, that's another contender. Menachino, another contender. God, no, this is good stuff right here. This is in the first 8 days, people. What's today's date? 14th. So there's 6 more days of issue paid production that's not showing in these reports yet. Luan Pham, Mac Judy. Oh, that's another one that can write it. Katie Williams. Belle Krause. Talked to her and her husband yesterday. Mickey Cruz. Nick Neitzel. Hernan Rowland. Linda Goebel,
That's right.
and Wanda McPhillips. 50 people, over 5,000 issue paid in the first 8 days of this month. Tracking with me, guys?
Yeah.
All right. How about take me to the Good Samaritan bonus, because this is where we're giving away that money. Also, it shows up the SEAL team. Thank you for finding that, Billy. Thank you for sticking with it. I knew you had it. All right, here we go. We are, and this is through, no, I can do March, but I just wonder what it's through. Issue paid report, 8/31 March.
Probably the same.
Okay, let's check it out. It says through the 8th. Oh, up here? Okay, so this is through the 8th also. So through the 8th, we're committed to $850. 8 people have Good Samaritan bonus. With, let's see, it's 31 days this month, so we've got quite a few more days to go. Potential of 19.7. Let's see who. We have no SEAL team yet. Let's see where we are. Michael Owens, already with 13,003 recruits. Here's the key column. Do you have a new person that you've helped issue pay a policy? He does. So it puts him already in Good Samaritan bonus. Louis Abadi, Terry Edwards, Kimberly Spinelli. Look, Kimberly got 2. Yes. Kristen Lyle, Belle Krause, Mickey Cruz, Hernan Rowland. So this is the people that are doing the recruiting and the selling. But again, this is only 8 days in. 8 days in, they already found one. Everybody else, you got 20-some days left, 23 days left to get one person. If you haven't, that's where our Good Samaritan bonus is going to go through the roof. So already 2 recruits, don't have them sold yet. Michelle Allen with 23,000. So she's leading March Madness. She needs something in this category to get her over SEAL team. As a matter of fact, probably would take her over SEAL Team 6. Hey, by the way, there's only 9 of those the planes left, the model airplanes and bags, and so we got all those extra prizes that are available. Just keep in mind to get that. You don't want to miss out and not help somebody get some issue paid business. Let's see. So all these people would be Good Samaritan bonus. Brant Swindale, not quite there. So all these would be Good Samaritan bonus people. Right? All we need is this category right here, which is somebody that you hired gets a piece of issue paid business. And it can be on themselves. It can be on their child. It can be on their mother. So Chadwick Ray already got a recruit. James Hill with 60, James and Jane. Andrew Peters, these are names we've called. Wilson, Coleman, Justin Bailey. Think about this. We have 50 people over 5,000, which is the least amount we need for Good Samaritan bonus.
Right.
The question is, how many of them get another person besides themselves? That's where the like not being so self-centered. How do we get somebody else to sell a policy? Do we take them on a ride along with us? Do we go with them on a ride along?
Right.
Do we go and help them present to their family? Do we go and help them write it on themselves? Because you write it on yourself, you ought to get all the questions right. You do an e-app on yourself, it ought to get issued in about 15 seconds.
Right.
And one of the selling points I would tell people, like, for $20 a month, you get all the forester's benefits. All the fraternal benefits are free for a small policy. Like, come on, I know you got 8 people. You show them the forester. Do you have to go over to their house and show them all the forester's fraternal benefits? So why would we pick foresters? Because you get 10,000 bonus points for them for the trip to Paris by writing foresters first.
Right.
Just by getting a tiny little policy. And then we get 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, or $350 goes to their favorite charity.
That's right.
You see how everything is shaped on this whole program that we're set up? It just, the whole setup is set for you. You with me? Like everything is just like a house. It's just so simple what we do to create this kind of wealth, this kind of money. All right. Jay Turner. Now look, these people are right there at it. I'm sorry, we got more of those. So we got Mark Hutchinson. We got more people that are right there at it. This is Cam Ewan, Mark Hutchinson, and tell me, I know how to say that name. Amaka. So all those other letters, I don't even have to say them. Just the first one and the last 4. Umaka. Is that right, or is it Amaka? Amaka. I just forget about that. I just say Amaka.
Yeah.
When I see all them letters together, I just say Amaka.
Yeah.
That's how you pronounce it.
That's the way kids are when they say, oh, all that means hey. Or mama. All that junk means mama. All that means is a mama. Amaka. All right, here we go. Look at this. These are the people, they've already got the issue paid category taken care of. All they got to get is $5,000.
A little more.
Does that make sense? All they need is a little bit more selling. So a little bit more, Angela, Karen Musel, Lisa Lyon. Keep in mind, this is 8 days in.
Right.
8 days in, Elizabeth Christopher already has 3,300. Already has this category taken care of. Matter of fact, look, Glenn Lamb's already got a guy over here that's written his 5th case. Angela's already got a person that's hit their 5th case. Lisa Lyon, DeSanto, Nikki, Glenn, Steve Moore, Austin Heater, Jan Miller, Jorge, Epstein, Jan Miller, Buck Rollins, Mary, Olga. Listen, how about this? Olga Mathis. I bet you she's in the top 10. And she ain't but 1,680. You know why? She's a fighter.
Right.
She's a scrapper. And she ain't going to let y'all to whoop her. She hates to lose. I bet you right now the teeth are grinding. Bill Cummins, James Austin. I think he's going to win because he's a Wolfpack dude. That's my Wolfpack on the West Coast. Corey Thomas, Adam Hinckley, Bryant Marshall, Emmanuel Drakes. Emmanuel, there you go. Joseph, Brian Rojas, Denise, Goodrich, Beasley, Kyle Cater, Deanna, Eddie Travis, Logan Brewer. Come on, Logan. We need you to get up there, man. You already got somebody issue paying. But who's this with 3 already? Oh, that's Ashley Bias, and Brandon Beal. That's that team right there. All right, guys. I am about fired up out of my mind. I did have a couple. I want to give you a couple more recognition. Here it is. Foresters. Who's leading the way this month with Foresters? Andrew Peters. He is leading the way with 11,000. Ida Santillan, Eric Belair, Scott Broughton, leading the country. Dylan Gona, Kimberly Spinelli Young, and Angela Clark, Michael Owens, and Mac Judy, and Debbie Ben. That is the leaders in Foresters right now. Leaders with CFG. Oh, I know it. NWL, I need to talk about that because we finally got some reports to them. CFG, let's do the top 10 for CFG. Michael Owens, Melissa Williams, Jennifer Moore, Jen Moore, James Coleman, Ann Latino, Ben Smallage, Michelle Alleman, Yubet Witherspoon, Chadwick Ray, and Brian Hill lead the way with CFG. And this is our first leaderboard ever for National Western Life. I'll do the top 12 people. Janice Prysock, Jamal Neal, Caleb Law, Richard Davidson, Timothy Johnson, Paul Roberts, Reba Edwards, Carlos Cooper, James Skinner, Nathan Thomas, Ryan Sauls, and Michelle Alleman lead the way with NWL. Year-to-date, I'll do the top 10 year-to-date. Carlos Cooper, Jacob Kern, Dora Wasaki, Richard Davidson, James Skinner, Bob Blevins, Ryan Sauls, Nathan Thomas, Tim Tipton, and Michelle Alleman. So, guys, look at this. I'm telling y'all, pull up my, I want to go back to this right here. Here we go. Picture this. You start writing $35,000, $40,000 a month. All of a sudden, you're not only winning 2 trips, you and your buddy all expense paid, but you win 2 trips for your parents, your best friends. You with me? You can win 4 trips, make an extra $200,000 cash, and win all the contests. It's called momentum. It's called the alliance. It's called prosperity, inspiration, and eternity. Guys, narrowing what we got to think about and wonder about frees us up till we can do so much more. Let's go get them. Love y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.